Hey, how's it going, Stone Posters? Well, I do amateur taxidermy, kind of. So, I figured I should video some and show you guys kind of the steps. I have a mallard that I shot that I'm going to do today. It's already got all the meat out of it, so I'm just going to do kind of some finishing work on it, get the head out, get it really ready to mount. Here's a striper that I've been working on. I've done a smallmouth and 3 bluegill so far, and I know I have more ducks and another largemouth bass to do, but I'm trying to get stuff done with school. I got kind of busy, so I haven't worked on anything for a while, but during winter break I'm going to try to get a little bit more done and kind of show you guys how to do it. If any of you are interested in mounting stuff for yourself, this would be a good educational video to watch and kind of learn the steps, the process. I know me and Jake both do a little bit of taxidermy, so we might have more taxidermy videos coming out if you guys like them. And make sure that you comment if you want to see more, or if there's like a certain bird or fish that you guys want to see us mount. Let us know down in the comments, and we'll be sure to try and find that for you and video that and get that done. Here's the mallard. I got the large majority of the meat out. There's still kind of some of the meat on the legs and the wings, so we'll have to do that. The head is still in, so we'll have to cut the head out. And I don't know, they sell kits to do everything for a bird. I don't know if I'm going to get one of those or try to reuse the head. I know I have the body for a mallard, but I'm going to kind of work through this and try to get as much meat out as possible, because you'll want to get these leg bones and the wing bones down to just the bone. You don't want any meat on there. And we'll cut the head out with a scalpel, and I don't know if we'll get to actually like fleshing the bird today or not. We'll kind of see how it goes and how far we get. So I'm just gonna go ahead and time lapse through most of this, because it's gonna be pretty boring and repetitive. You're basically just trying to get as much meat out as possible, and fat and just anything that's gonna rot. I'll be sure to stop if I'm explaining something, if we get to like a delicate part or something and need to explain it more. For right now, it's just had the carcass taken out. I washed the blood out and then put it in the freezer, and now let it thaw out, and I'm gonna try to work on it now. It's best if you do everything in one shot. If you get all the meat out, flesh it, and then it's pretty well, it's a little bit better if you put it in the freezer then. If you put it in there with that meat, the meat will kind of go bad a little bit, especially being then in the fridge. It kind of rots a little bit, but it'll be all right for now. But we'll go ahead and get started on it now. Alright, so we got the head out, away from the feathers. You'll have to cut around the eyelids and then the ears back here. But I think the most important thing in taxidermy, especially when you're skinning, is just go slow. You know, watch a couple videos so you know kind of what to expect. You know that the ears are back there and you have to cut those out. You have to cut around the eyelid. I lost a little bit of feathers around the eyelid, but a lot of taxidermy is learning how to fix your mistakes too. So go slow, take your time, But if you do mess up, don't worry about it too much. There's super glue, needle and thread, clay. You can fix pretty much about anything. But got the head out. I'm probably gonna try to save as much as I can, just in case. It's always good to have some spare parts too, so you can kind of clean the meat out of this, and then if you want to reuse it, just take some clay and you can rebuild the skull then and that neck area. But now we're going to move on to the rest of the bird and try to get some of this meat from the wings off. There's still a little bit of meat on the legs and the tail, so we'll go ahead and keep doing that. The head should be good once we turn the entire bird inside out and take it to the wire wheel to get some more meat and fat out. We'll focus on that a little bit more. That's a pretty tender area, so we'll go ahead and start working on the rest of the joints and getting the meat off of those bones and joints. For the leg, there'll be the thigh, and then the drumstick part here, you'll separate it off from the body right here. There'll be this big chunk of meat here. You'll get that all off, and then you'll pull down to this, to like the knee joint here, and it's right where the like orange part of the foot meets the feathers. That's right where we're at right now. And then there'll be a couple tendons that you'll just cut off like that. And then some meat along the bone that you'll want to scrape off. It all comes off pretty easy. But you'll just have to do that. Try to get as much as you can off, but you don't have to get it necessarily perfect right now, because when we go to the wire wheel, it'll be a lot easier to get the bones really cleaned up then. So I got the meat cleaned out in between the two bones. Like when you're eating a chicken wing, that's the same bone right there, and you got to get all that meat cleaned out of there. There's some tendons down in there. I got to work on a little bit more way down there, but this part, got to get all that meat out. But remember how much meat you take out, because when you go back to mount it, you'll have to fill that in with like a quilt batting, like a pillow stuffing, dog toys. Any of those things is a good place to get like that stuffing from, but you'll have to fill that back in, and along with this little piece of meat and on the legs too, and it helps to do around the neck, anywhere that you might be missing a little bit here and there. Here's kind of what the legs look like. You just have that one bone sticking out. That would be the thigh, and then this is the drumstick part. You'll separate that joint right there and just keep this part. With the wing, you take it off at the shoulder, and then you'll keep that ball joint there. And then later on, we're gonna go back in and we'll cut it right below that. There's a couple holes in it from getting shot and then cleaning it. They got a little bit bigger, but I think for the most part we should be able to sew them up. It shouldn't be too bad. The feathers will hide a lot of it, but it helps to have borax to keep your hands dry. And make sure that you have a sharp knife, and we're going to go ahead and wash it. Make sure that you keep washing your bird. It'll help get off any loose meat. It'll take some of the oil off, and it just makes it easier to see what you're doing. And as you're going through, all these little pieces of meat on here. You can pick at those. Just always be picking at those, but careful that you don't pull too hard because you'll put a hole in it. You can take a sharp little pair of scissors too and kind of trim it away with those as well. But yeah, we'll get it rinsed off and kind of move on to the next step then. Alright, I washed it off and kind of got it down to the skin pretty good. I was picking off little bits of fat on it and everything. There's just a little bit of meat left here and there, but this is my setup, the wire wheel on a drill press. Most people use like a grinder. Ours is just like a little too fast, and I don't really want to use it right now, but we'll see how this goes. And I mean, if this works, it should be fine, but we'll see how it goes here. I put a little hole in it. That'll be alright though. But I mean, for the most part it works alright. It's really oily. It's kind of throwing some fat around, but I mean, for the most part it works pretty good. Well, it's a pretty messy process. I had to end up putting some borax on, and as you can see, my wire wheel is full of fat and oil and grease from the duck. For the most part, it's pretty much done. I might have to go through with like a toothbrush, wire brush, and get a few more spots off. I put some more holes in it with the wire wheel, so if you take off the fat using a wire wheel, make sure that you're really careful. I know mine's pretty stiff, so try to find a really fine wire wheel, and that should help. Just help keep too much pressure from going into the skin, because they are pretty thin, because it looks like you need to go more, but you really don't. So just be careful when you're doing that. Like I said, a sharp knife, going slow while you're skinning. And I'm probably going to get a kit ordered up, which comes with the body, the wires, neck material, the head, everything that you'll need to mount one. So we'll get that ordered and let you know how that goes and show you the mounting process and everything that goes along with that. So stay tuned. Well, it's 4 days later now. We got our package from the taxidermy shop here that we're going to open up, and just showing the fish. It's still drying, nothing's really changed. We'll just have to let it dry for probably another couple weeks before we can paint it up and get it finished. Alright, we're going to open up this package and see what we all got. If I had to recommend somebody, if like you're looking for a supply place to get stuff for taxidermy, Matuska is really good. You can go to their website and request a catalog for free. They're pretty quick about getting stuff here. This only took like 3 business days to get here. And this is a flying mallard kit. Comes with a body, the head, all of the wires and neck material that you'll need to do it as well, and instructions. There's all the wires, and they're all labeled too. That one's the neck and wings, and then this foam is for the neck. The body, that has pretty good detail, really. I mean, the pockets for the legs and wings there. Here's the head, and it already has the eyes in it too. Looks really good. You just have to paint the bill, which is pretty easy. The mallard bill is just that tip is black, and then the rest is all yellow. And the really cool thing about these bird kits that they sell is they come with complete instructions. So it shows you, like, step by step what to do and how to do it. I mean, if you have no idea how to mount something, you can get this book and it'll show you everything, and it's really helpful. It's really good. Flyer, what's new for 2021, and some fish eyes for another fish that I'm doing, and candy. They always send candy. Yep, that's it. But we'll go ahead, take all these pieces. I think we just need to, we'll go over the bird one more time with the wire wheel, just to get a little bit more fat off, and then we'll be ready to mount it up. We got the duck all fleshed, and there's quite a few holes in it from the wire wheel. When you use it, you have to be really careful. Practice on another bird before you mount something that you want to actually look good. Just like a chicken or something, another duck. That'll let you practice more and get used to how the wire wheel cuts, how it should look, and all of that. But we'll have to sew up these holes now. You'll get good at that. Put a lot of holes in stuff so you get good at sewing. It's nothing too fancy, just basic knots and stuff. So if you don't know how to sew, it's not a big deal. Maybe watch another video and kind of get some of the basics down for sewing, and you should be good to go. But we'll go ahead, I'll show you maybe how to do one hole, and we'll just time lapse the rest of it. So here we go. Pull out about a foot of thread. Just start with, I just have a small hole here, so we'll just start with about a foot. Cut that off. Don't drop your thread. And then thread it. This part's kind of hard. I know they make magnifying glasses that you can just clamp onto the edge of a table, and they're even lighted. So that makes it a little easier. Get that threaded through there. And we'll start with this hole. Start with this hole right here. You just kind of want to pinch the skin together pretty close. Get it kind of close there. Pull it through a little. And then I just tie a knot kind of at the end there, just an overhand knot. Don't use up too much of your string. Kind of pull it down to the end. And then you want to knot it a couple of times just to make sure that it won't come out. But there won't be too much pressure on it, so it doesn't have to be super tight, but enough to where it's not going to pull out. So We'll put 3 in it just to make sure. Give us a good start. So there's the third one. Now we've got it started, and you just want to keep that skin close together and just keep going from one end and go really shallow so you don't get too many feathers, or if you're doing a deer or something, too much hair. And just go from one side to the other and just keep working your way down, just like a baseball stitch would look like. Make sure you actually go through the skin on this duck. Some of the feathers are kind of out. You can push those down, and then make sure that you just get through the skin, that you're not going like right on the edge. You want to make sure that you're actually getting a good amount of skin sewed up. And then pull it snug, and that should be good. Didn't quite get much skin there. Back up. We might have to go back through it one more time. You can add a few more stitches here and there wherever you need some. And to finish off the knot, you'll go through like you're sewing, like you're making another stitch. Go through the skin. And then on your trailing loop, go back through that with the needle and pull that down tight. And you do that a couple of times, and then you're good to go. And then snip it off and leave a little bit of tag in there. Snip off your starting knot, and there you go. That hole's sewed up. That's what it looks like on the inside. And then on the outside, none of the feathers are knotted in there. It looks good. So we'll go ahead and time lapse the rest of it, and we'll just keep patching up these holes. We got some big ones down here on the back, right at the base of the tail, so those ones will probably take a while. That's a really soft spot. Got a little carried away and put some holes in there, but they'll be easy to fix up. So we'll go ahead and get the rest of them all sewed up. Everything sewed up, so now we need to open up these we need to open up the bones on both the wings and the legs, and you just use like a side cutter or garden shears, whatever, and you want to come right below the big ball on the end, go around it a little bit to kind of score the bone so that it'll break smoothly. Because you want that to be as smooth as possible. That one's pretty good. This one's, it'll work. It's not make or break if it's not straight. It just makes it a little easier to mount and a little bit better looking. If they're all jagged, it's a little more dangerous too, just because the sharp parts of it can cut you. And then on the legs, you'll kind of do the same thing, but there's going to be bone marrow that comes out, and you'll take a paper towel, wipe that off, Do the same thing on the other side. And then you'll take a little pipe cleaner and go in there and get the rest of it all out. Now that we got the ends cut off, we can wire up the wings. What you're going to want to do is find the ulna bone in the wing. It's the bigger one. And you're going to take the wire, you're going to drill a hole into the ulna, and then you'll take the wire and push that in until you get up to the wrist up here. And then you're supposed to use string to wire or to attach the wire to the bone, but I'm gonna try something different and just use zip ties. And I mean, it should be about the same. Get it up there, and then you'll have to cut the end off. Just like that. And now your wing's all wired up, and they give you some more wires for than wing support. And it doesn't have anything in the book, but I'm assuming that you just you can put it through the wrist part here, and it'll hold the wing open more. Once you get that wire in there, bend it a little bit so that it'll fit around this other bone, and then you can get your string or your zip tie and attach it to the bone. Just like that. And now for the feet, what you want to do is you're going to run your wire right into the ball of the foot, and just be careful that you don't poke through this skin of the foot, and then you're just going to push forward on it. And it'll come out right there behind the joint. And you can run it up. And if you're going to do a standing one, leave about an inch to an inch and a half sticking out of the base of the foot. If you're going to do a flying, go ahead and pull that wire almost completely out of the foot so that nothing is exposed. You can always go in later and adjust to hide it or pull it out. It's better to leave a little bit out, because even when they're flying, they'll have their feet out and you can kind of bend them. But that wire makes a good spot to clothespin or a paper clip and really hold that foot together and get it to dry the way that you want it to. I got the head painted. I still have to add the black in the nostrils and on the tip there, and then under the jaw I just airbrushed it on there. I took a little yellow and just a drop of orange to get the color right. I think it looks pretty good, but I didn't film it. Sorry guys. Here's kind of the finished product. It's got to dry. I'll let it dry overnight, and then we'll get the bird mounted up tomorrow. Here's how we're looking so far. The beak turned out pretty good. We still got to put the black paint on. When you paint it, especially with like an airbrush or something, make sure that you tape over the eyes to keep those protected. For the neck, you just run some hot glue on the bigger piece and then put the smaller piece on there to make like the esophagus on there. And then you'll drill a hole in the back of the head, curl over your wire, and then fill that hole with hot glue and put your wire in there. Hold it there for a few seconds for it to set up, and then I just ran a little bit more hot glue around just to make sure that it would stay in. And then I just had a little bit of extra, so I ran that up to kind of make like the rest of the windpipe and everything there at the base of the skull. Right now I think I'm just going to get the paint on and finish up the beak right there. So we'll just go ahead and time lapse it. It's pretty simple. We'll just paint inside the nostrils, just a plain black on the tip of the beak here, and then under the chin right here. Here's how we're looking right now. We got everything painted, and we wrapped a little bit of cotton around where the head meets the neck to kind of smooth that joint out. Now we need to put the neck into the body, but we need to make sure that we cut the neck to the right length as well. When you're skinning them, make sure that you measure the neck so you know how long it is. I didn't do that, so we'll have to put the head through the skin and then see how long our neck needs to be, and then cut off the foam around there. But for right now, I think we're ready to start mounting everything up. All right, we've got the head ready to go. We've got our body here. It's a little frozen, so we're just letting it thaw out a little bit. And we've got our body. We marked where our wires for the legs and the wings need to go. We kind of test fitted everything, putting the neck in, make sure that all lines up and looks good. Now we need to sprinkle a little bit of borax onto the skin just to help keep bugs down, help dry it, and help preserve it a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of borax on. Pull the wings out good, so you make sure that you get borax down in there. Same with the legs and the tail, and also the neck. Make sure that you kind of unfold everything and work the borax into all of the little tight spots to ensure that the borax is over everything. It doesn't need to be a lot. Borax keeps bugs out, and it helps preserve. If there is a little bit of meat left in there, it'll help dry that out so it doesn't stink, and it'll help absorb any oil that's left in there. And if there's oil left in the bird, it'll seep through, and any white feathers, it'll ruin them. It'll turn them yellow. So you really want to make sure that you have enough borax in there to soak everything up. I know a lot of people, when they mount, will put a paper towel down at the bottom to help kind of soak up any oil that's in there. I don't think that I'm gonna do that, but a lot of people will do that. We're gonna kind of open the neck up here. I don't want to turn it inside out now just to turn it back right again. So I'm just gonna open it up a little bit here and sprinkle some borax down the neck. And just kind of work that borax down the neck. Now that we've got a little bit of borax and everything, we can go ahead and start putting everything together. We'll start with the head so that we can get the measurements for the neck made, and we'll go from there. All right, we got the neck through and cut down to length. If it's not quite right, you can always pull it out a little bit and go back in and cut it down, but I'm thinking it looks pretty good. It looks natural. So now where the wire came out here at the end, you want to take your pliers or your hands if you have enough. And you're trying to bend a U into it. And then you'll push that U right back into the body. Now we're going to take the wings and run those wires through. There it goes. Do the same thing with the other side, and be careful when you're doing this. It gets a little bit tight, and if you stretch the skin too hard, it'll rip out on your seams. So you just have to kind of be careful and make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on the skin when you're doing this. You can kind of bend the wires around a little bit so that there's a little bit less stress on there on the skin when you're doing this, but just make sure that you're careful. If you do tear it, it's not a big deal. You just have to sew some more again. All right, there's our two wings wired up. And then the wires are just bent back into the body there. You can use a hammer or pliers, and you just want to set those wires down in there. I know a lot of people would like smash a little spot there for that wire to sit in. Don't worry about it too much though. The feathers will hide it. If you're really trying to be perfect, go ahead and make that indentation, just a small one. Now we're gonna get the feet. What you're gonna wanna do on them is at the end here of the bone, you'll bend that wire over and go sideways into the body. And leave enough so where that ball that we took off was, remember to leave enough room for that and bend that to about a 90-degree angle there. And then we'll do the same on the other side as well. All right, we got our feet in. They're a little off, but just pull them up or down and that'll get them lined up for you. And we'll do the same thing again where you bend the wire into the body, just like on the wings. All right, we've got everything lining up good now, and it looks pretty good. Everything looks good. The book says to dry everything first, like to dry the feathers and then keep the skin moist, but I just like to leave it the whole thing wet and then dry it later. I just feel like it gives you more time to work. You're not stressing about keeping the skin moist, and you just have plenty of time to work. Don't have it soaking wet either, but you know, just kind of damp, like wash it and then squeeze all the water out and let it drip dry for a while, and that's about the right consistency. It still gives you a good amount of stretch to sew. It's going to be a little tight to sew, but I think we'll be able to get it done. We'll time lapse it. The one thing I'll add is to add some stuffing right up here at the base of the neck to make it look like a crop in here. But other than that, it's just sewing it up just like how you sewed up the holes. And we'll go ahead and time lapse that and kind of show you afterwards. We'll still have to do the tail, and we'll put in the support, and after that it's just drying, taping everything up and making it look how you want it to. So we'll go ahead and sew and then go from there. Before we get too far, you need to take some of that quilt bedding that you put around the head, and we'll put that back into the wings where we took that meat out. You can put it around the legs, but where this one's going to be so close to the wall, it's not super important. If you have like a standing one, you definitely want to put some batting around the legs. I could still get down in there and stuff a little bit in there if I wanted to. I don't know if I'm going to worry about it or not, but make sure to add some of that. Just kind of take note when you're skinning it of about how full that is. And also, I mean, when you're stuffing them, you can tell kind of what looks natural. If it's big bodybuilder, obviously that's too much, but right now it's pretty bony and skinny, so you definitely want to add something just to fill it out a little bit more. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit into the wings now. Alright, so we glued the feathers back on right around the bill here. It's pretty easy. Just take like a pair of tweezers, grab the skin, put a little bit of glue on there, and just do like a 1/4 inch at a time. Just go real slow. If you get glue on there, it's really hard to get the glue back out of the feathers. So just go slow when you're doing that. You'll wire up the wings, set them how you want them. We dried it already, and then you'll just have to kind of go through, preen some of the feathers out, get them to lay flat, and then you'll have to tape the wings to get them to lay how you want them to. Tape them spread out, tape the tail feathers, and then you'll have to let it dry for about 2 weeks. After that, You'll probably have to paint the feet. They'll dry out to a little bit of a weird color, so you'll probably want to paint those. These ones are pretty well hidden, but I think we're still gonna have to paint them. You still have a lot of work after you dry it to get all the feathers to lay right. A pair of tweezers, they make preening tweezers, so you can pull feathers around, fluff them up a little bit here and there. You can use your hair dryer again that you used to blow dry it off with. When you do use a hair dryer, make sure to put it on just air. Don't use any heat. It'll set the feathers, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to still move them around. But 2 weeks of drying and this bird will be done. We'll put it on a piece of wood and add some plants to just make it look pretty, and then after that it'll be done. So thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to Stone Post Fishing. If you guys want to see more taxidermy videos, let us know in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video.